James Ashby joins us now. He's here along with the look at the creature comforts. Oh, Jesus, the caravan park just getting sexier by the day. I love it. Lovely to see you, mate. Of course, he's
come indoors. I didn't know he was allowed indoors.
Exactly. Wait till he starts a fire behind us in the Sky News Brisbane studio. And Darren Barnett, of course, brother from another mother of the left of centre, but not irredeemable on many matters. Anyway, so just quickly, James, look, very obviously, speaking metaphorically, right? But fascinating, right? Let's imagine if one of the new One Nation senators attended some rally somewhere else where they said they were going to burn the parliament to the ground. You reckon Tony Burke would be on the, let's turn the temperature down if they can. Instead, of course, it'd be anything they could. To deny these people access to the copier machine in Canberra, they would do it. But watch how Lidia Thorpe will basically, skip through it all.
Like when you go to one of those restaurants and the family beside you's got one of those brats that's jumping all over the chairs and, screaming and yelling and crying and won't shut up in a peaceful restaurant. And the parents are sitting there going, it's okay, good girl, don't worry. Yeah. Ice cream soon. Labor just keep rewarding this woman. They never hold her accountable. And don't blame the parents in this case with Lidia Thorpe. Roy Illingsworth, he's a great viewer of yours. I know he watches this show.
Well
he's
done.
Up there
Good
in
pick
Forest
up.
Beach in Queensland. And he's not to blame for this. I know he finds troubling his own daughter's actions at times as well. So he's not to blame. But, the problem is all sides, whether it be the Greens, that's their bastard child, if you want to put it quite bluntly. They created this thing. They gave her a seat in Parliament. She left them. Labor Party don't want to haul her into line. Where was the coalition's leader on this? No, it took One Nation to actually write to the AFP and say, will you please do something about this woman? You've got the powers. If the Parliament won't censure her or hold her accountable, you've got the power. And I might just say, Paul, there's a independent parliamentary standards committee. I've written to them as well because what that woman said on the stage of, not just the media, but in front of all the public and said that she was going to burn our parliament down. There are 4,000 workers that work in that place. All of their jobs have been threatened. Their safety's been threatened. And as I stated in my letter, the simple fact is parliamentarians have the weakest security. When you go through parliament security as a member of parliament, it is weak. It is terrible. They might as well wave a broomstick over you and go, OK, off you go. Yeah. Who knows what that woman's capable of? And my view is she should be escorted from this point forward until the investigation's done throughout that parliament because, honestly, I don't trust her.
Well, but also, part of all of this as well, one of the reasons why when people start to get too wound up, you've got to tap the brakes, right? Because yes, clear metaphors, all the rest of it. I get all of this, Darren. But who knows who hears it? Who knows how they hear it? Who knows how they process it,
It's also not the first time she's used those words.
Correct.
She used them about a fire at Old Parliament House.
Yes.
Either 2021
yes.
or 22. Look, she should have learned that you can't use that, in this case, literally inflammatory language.
Yeah.
You've got to behave like a parliamentarian should.
Well, why should her pass work next time she walks in for the next sitting week? I mean,
I don't have a problem. The AFP are investigating, and if they, I don't know what they'll do, whether they will do a censure or whether they'll. I've read something today that I think Marine Faruqi, for doing something with Palestinian flags, is not allowed to go on delegations and travel and all the rest of it. It's got to be harder than that. It's got to be something that teaches a lesson. But the only upside is there's no way she'll be re-elected in 3 years and we're halfway through a 6-year term.
Well, I certainly hope not. But all right.
No, I hope they do more, James. I'm with you on that.
All right. Just quickly here.
Yeah, it's like a wet lettuce slap,
No, fair enough. Now, let's talk here about the Victorian Libs because they are clearly in a world of trouble, right? Despite the fact that crime is what it is in Victoria. You've got a great story about that, Darren. Despite the complaints, despite the nonsense where literally every day something terrible happens, horrible things happen in the CBD today, Premier comes out and says, Melbourne's safe. Terrible things happened last week, Premier comes out, Melbourne's safe. Come on. Still, if there was an election held, it looks like the Liberal Party can't find a way to actually get to government. Now, today they also made a decision, which was that they're going to reject the treaty bills, which are being voted on in the Parliament right now. And while there might be a very slight lead, but again, the big grey in the middle is probably going to end up falling as it often does, against the Liberal Party. The primary vote in Victoria is frightening. Labor's at 30, Liberal 33. Oh, well, that's great. They're leading. Okay, so let's take Greens, 12, and add it to the 30, so that gets them to 42. We know that Independent, generally speaking, Teal, all the rest of it, most of that, let's even say 8 and 10, fell the way of the government. That gets them to 50.
Two-thirds,
all right?
one-third.
Like, they're there, right? They're there already based off this stuff.
The Libs need to lift their primary by at least 6 points on where it is now to win the election. At the moment, they will not win.
So how the hell does this happen? I mean, you've seen today this stuff, and I get it, you know, oh, don't talk about our state, rah, 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 rah. Sorry. Australians love Victoria and Australians know Victoria should be better.
I was there for the weekend because, and a friend of a friend, and that's the story that I was going to highlight tonight. It's in The Age. Someone who apprehended a 15-year-old kid inside their own home, chased him down the street, caught him, and then made the kid ring the cops on his own mobile phone.
Yes.
Now, that's bad enough, but the kid has then said, I'm basically going to go around, find him and stab him. Now, where's the blowback for that? How can that kid be allowed out of detention and let a member of the public who all they did was protect their own property and family have that person in any semblance of danger for a 15-year-old kid who's clearly off the rails? I find that, I can't get my head around that.
But again, here is the Premier of Victoria on her way to being re-elected, talking like Obi-Wan Kenobi to stormtroopers. Nothing to see here. Have a look.
The CBD of Melbourne is safe. The Victorian community has that protection from Victoria Police. As we saw this morning, Victoria Police moved swiftly, dealt with this situation quickly. Again, I wish to reiterate that the Melbourne CBD is safe. I do understand, though, too, that when incidences do occur, that it would be incredibly distressing.
James, honestly, look, One Nation's done pretty well in the past, got pretty close to Senate, has been able to crack the upper house, but fair income. What is going on?
How she can keep a straight face while saying that is beyond me. Look, I've been involved in a home invasion. I've had it pulled on me many, many years ago when I was living in Townsville. Paul, the fear that you live with naturally without the threat of someone coming back to stab you, slash you, kill you, while they're being apprehended by police. You know, they've got the nerve or the gall to say this, as kids, under 18s, to say this in front of coppers. This kid will be let out, and you know he will be. And the issue is that households, you live in fear. I know myself, Paul, I was afraid of the dark for a good 6 months after. Out of that very fact, you might run into that person again. They know where you live. You don't know where they live. And look, the Liberal Party are clutching at straws at the moment down there. There's still talk that they might even change the leader between now and the election. God help them if they do that. It just shows that they don't have a pool of strong leadership, whether it be the Liberals in Victoria, New South Wales, WA, or federally. They're really letting themselves down. And the longer this goes on, the more Conservatives will move away from the Liberal Party right across this country. And that's why we're doing so well. Even in a state like Victoria, we've got people screaming at us at head office. The majority of our phone calls now, our membership's increased by 70% since the federal election. And the majority of phone calls now coming to One Nation headquarters in Brisbane are pleading for us to make sure we run candidates in every single seat in Victoria, because there are so many people that just do not have the confidence in the Liberal Party to take this fight up to a dismal, disgusting, useless Labor Party in that state.
Hallelujah. Can I tell you, by the way, Victoria yet again, and you know how much we love the joint, right? But everything that James has been saying, Darren as well, right, is the concern here. And you look at these opinion polls and you go, look, goodness, how is the opposition not laying a glove? Reality, the internal wars, the lack of, all of that stuff, right? But the other is the triangle of dependence. You know how I bang on all the time that basically you end up with one party being there forever because you either get money from the government, you work for the government, or the government's your biggest client? Welcome to a story from the Herald Sun. 9 out of every 10 jobs being created in Victoria are in the public sector or government-funded industries. That is why they keep winning.
That's
right?
A truly extraordinary statistic.
I mean, that is in black and white the triangle of dependence. Now, I also want to talk here about medical marijuana. Now, One Nation, surprising to some, no one who's actually been paying attention, was a massive force for change in getting the medical use of cannabis for a whole range of reasons, and it has been widely available for a few years in Australia. Now, I didn't realise until literally when I was in Brisbane, Fortitude Valley, and I saw this sort of medical centre, right? And it's like a medical centre that's just got marijuana leaves sort of in the logo, and it's very obviously similar to places like California in the olden days where you walk in, I've got, guess what the solution is? Bang. We're not talking about chronic pain, cancer, all the rest of it. I'm not saying that about that business. I'm just saying the model has changed where there are an awful lot of people that are being prescribed medical cannabis. Now, James, as a person who understands all of the history and understands why we got where we got, are we going a little too far, or some people are just taking the piss in loopholes that can be tightened up?
Well, we went from a stage where no one could access it, and we really backed in the use of medicinal cannabis for obvious reasons, and that is because a lot of people don't want to be doped out of their heads on pharmaceutical brands when 100%. They've got cancers, or, you know, they're at the end of their life and they just want to be pain-free without being drugged out or doped out on pharmaceutical brands. But there is a tendency for people not to quite understand that the medicinal cannabis is a particular strength, and therefore it is better than anything you'll buy from any dealer on a corner for obvious reasons. But when you've got doctors out there willy-nilly prescribing to people who just want to go and have a joint on a Saturday night but want to do it legally, that's where it falls over. And that's not what it was designed to do. You know, you've got the stoner party down there in Victoria that want it approved and made available freely right across the country. Our emergency departments will be inundated with this psychosis problem if that was to occur. But yeah, we've got to put the brakes on. Some of these doctors need looking at. We need to find out where these scripts are coming from those people who are abusing the system. And we need to pull those doctors over the coals and say, hey, you can't prescribe anymore.
Yeah, again, you know, it's not about a good time. It's about being able in many ways to deal with illnesses that are happening. Super fast, mate, before we get to cause. Yeah, Darren?
The AMA don't, you know, they're not a ridiculous kind of group. And if they say there's a problem, I'd take that complaint seriously. I think telehealth and allowing people and not screening them for psychosis and other issues, it does look like it's a little bit out of control. Yeah.
All right. We will all wait and see. No one get Annika Wells involved, or all the CEOs that'll be called to Canberra, because that apparently fixes everything, doesn't it? Because aged care is doing so well after her stint there. Thank you, James. Thank you, Darren.